PA Empowerment Network is a game changer, uniting individuals with shared goals to support and uplift each other, providing resources, mentorship, and a sense of community. Empowering people means giving them the tools and confidence to thrive and create positive change in their lives and communities.
Hi, everyone. This is Carlotta and Neith for Diamonds in the Rough radio show. Not radio show, but show. This is the Empowerment Network, and we're here to talk a little bit. It's talking with God's jewels. So we're going to get started. The episode title for today really, it's not just an episode. It is a, just bear with me. It is a, I lost my thought, y'all. It is a series. And so this series today is going to be about bloodlines and bridges, real talk between parents and children. And today's topic, today's episode title is called Wild Child Wisdom, the fire, the freedom, and the fight to heal. And the reason why I say wild child is because I have 7 children, and each one of my children I give them a special name, a special title. They are just really special in my life. And so this one, her name is Krista Sanchez, but she goes by Charlie, aka Charlie, also known as Charlie. And she really gave me she gave me a way to go.
I gave you ready for your money.
You sure did. So I call her my wild child. And so today the segment we're going to talk is just about, of course, talking with God's jewels. You were like shine like a diamond. I wish my music could be played in the beginning, but we're going to work on it. But we talk about speaking healing into our history, and celebrating our journey, even our flaws. So that's what we're going to be talking on. This series is really personal to me. It's 7 episodes. Hopefully, I'll be able to get 7 episodes, maybe even more, with my 7 children, my 7 incredible children who I love so much. They are that's what makes my life. Besides me loving God, being an elder in the church, evangelist, doing things for God, I love my kids, and that's what gives me joy. A lot of people, I am divorced, and I never got married again. And so I've been single for the past 17 years, just me and the rest of my kids that live in the household is 4 now, but I have 7 before that are left in the household. And so I'm not going to talk too long, but I just wanted to share that. And I want to just say each one is gifted with me, gifted me with lessons, with life lessons, like real life lessons that some people wouldn't call lessons. They'll be like, them kids. But for me, it was lessons learned. And I grew, and I matured. Lessons that I didn't even know I needed, but I got them. And so we're going to talk to the special one in the room. She's fierce, she's raw, she's brilliant, and she's mine. So I want you to welcome, please welcome, of course, she's there. Krista, like I said, Krista Sanchez, also known as Charlie, my wild child. And she's got the beauty and the voice of my mother, which is a whole movement. It's a whole movement. And if you go onto her Instagram, let me just say this, and then I'm a release her. But if you go onto her Instagram, when I'm telling you, she's an entrepreneur, multi-talented entrepreneur, a deep thinker, and a fire starter in all the best ways that you can think of. Go on there, you will see it for yourself, and then you'll believe me. You'll be like, yeah, that's what she is. So with no further ado, I'm going to give you over to Charlie, my baby. Let's go.
Hi.
So
Hi.
introduce yourself. Tell the people about what you do. Tell
My
them.
name is Charlie. I am an entrepreneur. I own a delivery service called Daily Duties Deliveries LLC, and I also own a accessories company called BRMB. BRMB stands for beads, rings, nails, and bracelets. And I make all different kinds with natural flowers and with elements from the earth. Um, and just trying to um, worship God in my own way, the way that He has given me the gifts to worship Him, and to be able to spread a message of love because God is love.
Yes.
And just to be able uh, to affect people's lives in a way that, would actually turn them to God. And, you know, I'm here to, talk to my mom
I
about
know that's right.
whatever she wants to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about, Miss Sassy.
And I would also
Sassy
like to
and
say, I am, it's so interesting that you say wild child because when I was younger, I used to be a wild child. Oh my goodness. But I think the definition has like kind of switched a little bit because
it has.
I'm very opposite, but I would say that I have maintained a wild um card because I am willing to take risks in my life. I'm willing to take on challenges and to bet on myself. And a lot of people think that that's wild, but when you are strategic and you have a plan, and you follow a plan that you have given by God, like it could seem wild to anyone, but to
I'm still
me,
here.
I feel like um I think the reason why I would call it wild is because it's not it's not usually it's not your average. So, but other than that, I'm not wild anymore. Not wild in behavior anyway. I
That's a
feel like
good thing.
I'm very like structured, and I might be a little bit like boring.
Hmm.
But that's it.
I agree with her when she says that the wild child the name has taken a because she's matured. She's older. She's gonna be 40
Mom,
soon.
come
Um,
on.
I didn't say. I said soon. It's gonna be a while.
That's soon. It's not soon. It's not soon.
But she, if you look at her, you wouldn't think she was gonna be 40. And when I tell people I got a 40-year-old daughter, but I have a daughter, she's older than her, and she's 40. And
Mom,
so when I tell people
don't
that
tell
my
her
older daughter,
ages. Jesus
nobody, nobody,
Christ.
nobody believes me when I say I got a 40-year-old
God.
kid. They were like, "What? No, not you. Yes, me." The guy told me I looked 35 the other day. He was like, "There's no way in the world that you
Well,
have a
because you have such a young
40-year-old
face.
kid."
Your
Yeah,
face is
so
so young.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. I'm 56 years old and I'm grateful and I'm thankful that I made 56 because some women can't say that
Yeah, that's
and
true.
still look the way I look.
Hmm.
And I'm not boasting in myself. I'm just saying, God graced me and I thank him for that. For all the
Yeah.
things that I've been through. I had 2 strokes and a heart attack. So I know that God graced me.
Yeah.
Um, and I can share that. So I'm grateful.
That's
So with that being said, um, I'm gonna share with her this first segment is called the fire of expectations. And so now I've always seen I've always seen a wild light in her, right? But now that light is not on the oh, I'm gonna kill you side. I'm gonna choke you. Teenagers will take you to that, right?
Oh,
But
yes.
so I'm not on that side anymore. But now, because she's older and of course, she has matured over the years, and I've got to see her mature, and I thank God for that. And so the wildness in her is that she is she is wild to learn things, wild to explore, She's been to other countries more than I've ever been to. She's traveled. She was a flight attendant at one time in her life. She's done a lot, and so that's the wildness of her, that she's not afraid to go out and do things different and explore. I never thought she would be a delivery person. Y'all look at her, and if you look at her pictures on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll be like, yeah, no, that's not the job I would expect from her. But that's what she does. She's a delivery person. And that, and on top of that, she works out. On top of that, she has that her business. She's an entrepreneur, a jack of all trades. I won't say a master of none, because there are some that she has mastered, and that is being an entrepreneur, and winning. She's mastering at winning, and so I'm grateful for that. So I want to say that sometimes when we're younger, we're misunderstood. Do you agree with that?
I do, because we don't know, we don't even, we might have visions and dreams and like, ideas of the things that we want to do, but because we're not seasoned, and because, usually when you're younger, um, usually when we're younger, I feel like we are more prone to like doing anything and everything,
Right,
And
right,
I feel like we're also more, our imagination is more alive. So
right,
we might even feel like we can do everything and anything.
right, right.
But as you get older, I feel like the structure, that's when structure, structure might come into play more. That's when
Hmm.
planning and preparing and, having organization and strategy comes in more. And
That's correct.
I feel like I've always wanted to, be an entrepreneur. I feel like it's always been in me to be an entrepreneur. But when I was younger, I didn't go to school for business. I didn't go to school to be an entrepreneur. So I just kind of winged it the entire time, especially when I
Right,
owned the photo studio, the OG Studios. I was winging it. I didn't know what I was doing. I just was
mhm,
doing what felt good. But
right.
I didn't have structure. I didn't have a plan. I saw where I wanted to go, and
Hmm.
I saw how I wanted the studio to be, but I didn't see the plan and the structure and the strategy to be able to grow it to where I actually saw it going, because my vision was
Right,
very big. But
right.
now that I'm older, and I'm not just a delivery person, I run a delivery service. So the services that I offer are delivery, courier, and
Hmm.
errands. And so in order for me to do that, each one of those is a niche in itself. So
Right, right.
delivery service is one niche, being a courier, a courier is another, and also running people's errands, that's kind of like another service. So there's three services in one, so I have to have structure, in order to be able to perform all three,
Right, right.
um even with my beads, and making my accessories, there has to be a structure, on how they're sold, on how they're made, on
Hmm.
how they're presented to the customer. And if I don't have a structure, it's like, oh, these are nice, but what do how do you plan to scale your business if you don't have any type of organization or structure? So I
True,
think
true.
my entrepreneur mind is still there and is still on fire,
Hmm.
but I think now it's more on fire for me to have the structure to scale
Right,
everything I
right.
want to do.
That's a good thing. What are some of the expectations, spoken or unspoken, that you felt you had to live up to or push back against in your life?
I feel like
Growing up with six siblings.
I feel like I always had to be the entertainer.
I agree. I agree.
I feel like I always had to be the one to put on the show. And no
And she
doubt
did.
my yeah, I mean, I think as an adult right now, I feel like that expectation has kind of quieted down because I am a businesswoman. And because like I'm always doing something for my business.
Yes. But she does it
um,
with fun, y'all. She does it
when
with
I
fun.
do come around, it's like Charlie's in.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like it's a party. But I feel like when I was younger, I definitely was expected to be the entertainer. Everybody
Mhm.
expected me to like do a little jigaboo dance, like sing something, make
I'm always
everybody
asking her to
laugh.
sing. Yes. I'm always
Now
asking her to sing.
Karina's the laugh box now. She's
Yeah.
making everyone
She
laugh.
is
And
like
I
it's like a switch, right? It's a switch
yes, it's
between
like a
y'all two.
switch.
Yeah.
Like Karina and me
Yeah,
changed
because
places. Like
she's my bio child for real, for
yes,
real.
now
Like,
Karina is the wild child. For
and she
sure.
for
Yes.
sure. I wish she
Yes.
could come on here because she's a hot bubbling.
She will soon. She's gonna come on
I
here.
love
I'm
her.
gonna
I
make
love
her.
her. So little, come
She's
on.
so cute.
How did those so how did any expectations in your life shape your creative journey and your entrepreneurial fire? So you say you have a fire. I have a fire and burning, burning up to be an entrepreneur. But how did
Mhm.
the expectations shape that? How did your expectations in your life shape your creative journey?
I think because I was never shunned to stop being creative and to stop shining my light. That is the type of expectation that I put in anything that I do, any business that I have. Like
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to allow for my business to shine.
Right.
I'm not afraid for the message to shine. I'm not afraid
Mhm.
to put myself out there because if my family expects me to be, on a show and they're not shunning me, they're not telling me to sit down, they're not telling me, to not sing, they're not telling me to not be who I am. They're like,
Mhm.
please be who you are. I feel like that is the expectation I have for myself when it comes to my business. Like going to door to door selling my hair beads and my accessories. Like if I was shunned when I was a kid, I probably wouldn't be so quick to do something like that. I would probably be
Right.
like,
Right.
no, they'll never accept me, they'll never want
Right.
them, they'll never want to buy. But now I just be like, these is my beads. I hand make them myself. Like I'm just not
That's right.
afraid to be myself. I'm not afraid to talk to people. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. And I think that that also allows for me to get opportunities in my life too.
That's
Because I'm
true.
not afraid. So
That's
I think that's a good thing.
I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Absolute awesome thing, right? So we're gonna go into the second part. And
Mhm.
it's about mothering and understanding. And so
Okay.
upon all of the things that she does, she's also a mother.
I am my baby
Of,
boy of
he'll be
9.
19. He'll be 19 this year.
Yes, he
And
will.
yes, he will. And so I
Oh,
look
next
back
year.
next
Next
year
year.
he'll be 19. Um, this year,
No, 2020.
December,
He's already 18, 2025.
right? So
He'll be
December
19,
2025,
2020. He'll be, you're
the
right.
end of
Correct.
this year, right? The end of
Yeah,
this year. I want to make
yeah,
sure
you're
I'm
right.
still I'm
I
still
be
this.
eating a child. My bad.
So I look back and I realized there were times that I didn't know how to parent. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
didn't know how to
understand.
parent. My power was slow
Mm-hmm.
in parenting. And I was still healing from wounds that I had received as a young girl, because parenting for me started early. Um,
Yeah.
Most women will, they say the majority of women start parenting, in their 30s, but I was parenting already at the age of 16 and
Mm-hmm.
then having a child at 19. Um,
Right.
so parenthood started early for me. So I literally grew up with my children,
Mm-hmm.
but growing up with my children, I still required um, a certain respect in my home.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
And I did grow up fast because my mom, she was single mom. We were latchkey kids. So when she was at work, we would come home and she wouldn't be there. She
Mm-hmm.
worked in the hospital. And so she wouldn't get home until we're already sleeping when she gets home.
Right.
So, we grew up fast anyway. And
Mm-hmm.
even from the things that gone on in our lives, the things that we experienced, my brother and I, my brothers, let me say, and I, we grew up fast. And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, you know, like I said, I was still healing from my wounds, and I might be still healing from some today, but I know that
Mhm.
I'm healed from a lot of them. So, what's one moment where you felt misunderstood by me as your mother, and how can you equate that to your son?
Um, I feel like I might have been misunderstood when um oh my god, all these situations are so personal.
Right, right. Well, you know what?
I think just in
You get
general,
unbound from them and you share them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think just in general, being misunderstood, when you are with your friends and you're a different person,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to when you're with your family and your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And but also having a boundary with your parents
Mm-hmm.
and with your friends.
Right.
I
Right.
feel like um I did have more of a boundary with you. I feel like, you were quick to be like, hold up, nah, not in here, and
She ain't lying either. She ain't lying. She ain't lying.
yeah,
She telling the truth.
but I
But I love
think
my kids though. Yeah.
very much. But my
Mm.
mom did give us a free space to be able to express ourselves just in a certain way, with more respect, with more like, you know, checking your tone, you know what I'm saying? Um, which I mean, I feel like I didn't do that much. I didn't really, I feel like I did, but when I did it like too much,
Right.
I wasn't as respectful, but um I don't think maybe you were raised that way to like kind of let your children say
Mm-hmm.
certain things,
Right.
but
Right.
not in a bad way. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Um and now as I'm a mother, my son is 18 years old. I've let him tell me how he feels. I've let
Right.
him tell me, his feelings and stuff. And sometimes maybe a little too much because sometimes I just want to punch him in his face.
I mean, sometimes it be like that.
But I feel like because,
I got two boys, so I know.
right. But I feel like because, like, I wanted to be like, oh, gentle parenting, just say how you feel. Sometimes that could be not good. Sometimes you
Yeah.
have to like put the fear of God in your children. Like,
Right.
don't just say anything to me. Don't
Right.
just,
Right.
because
Right.
then when it gets heated and he gets angry or they get angry, they feel like they can curse at you like you're somebody out on the
Right.
streets and you're not going
Right.
to talk to me like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
establish a certain boundary, which is
Mm-hmm.
where I respect my mother and I
Mm-hmm.
respect how I was raised and I respect that, she gave me a little room to talk. She let me allow me to speak, but you're not going to just say anything to me because I might the fist.
Right.
So
She said
I
the
think
fist.
I think the relationship that I have with my son now has grown because
Mm-hmm.
now he does watch his words. Now he
Right.
won't just say anything to me. Now he
Right.
won't just
Right.
lash out. Now
Right.
he's older enough to say, you know what, mom, I think we need to have a constructive conversation,
Right.
and I
Right.
think that that's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be what I would say that I can say from my childhood that I learned and grown into my own adulthood child with my adult child now.
Right. Right. My son, Michael Jr., your brother, we were
Mm-hmm.
having some issues with him, and he when once he came back to himself because he was
Mm-hmm.
doing stuff that he shouldn't have been. And when
Losing
he
his grip.
realized, yeah, he was out of order. And when
Yeah.
he realized that, he came back to me and he said, Ma, I wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't who you raised.
Right.
I wasn't that person.
Yeah.
I was somebody else. And he said, and when I look back at that person, I get angry because, and I don't want to go back there because that person was disrespectful to you,
Yeah.
to the one person in my life um, that raised me, that gave me everything
Mm-hmm.
that I needed, that taught me how to be a young man. Um,
Right.
that taught me how to be a God-fearing man. And he said to me one day, he asked me, because I'm a woman and I can't raise him to be a man,
I
right?
mean, right.
But I can give him man attributes, And so he said to me, Ma, where in the Bible does it teach me how to be a man?
Oh, wow. That's such a nice thing to
And
ask.
it was amazing for him to ask me that. Of course, I could give him scriptures, and show him Jesus, but he really needed
A
seeing
man.
a man. And so I feel like that's the difference between you and your brothers, is that you have a female that
Mhm.
that one has been through a lot, two did not want her children to go through the same thing,
Yeah.
and three was willing to do what she needed to do to make sure you had a good life, and
Yeah.
that you didn't grow up beat down and broken. So
Right.
I just had to put that in there.
No,
So
that's good.
what did you need? What did you think you needed from me then that you didn't know how to ask for?
Hmm.
And all of these questions are for people that are gonna listen later.
Right.
Young people, old people, people that have children, people that are thinking about having children. So we want to give them something that's going to help them later on. So the question, what did you need from me then that you didn't know how to ask for?
I think more guidance. We
Yeah,
think we know it all when we're younger. We think we know
yeah,
everything,
true.
like, and then we turn like 19 and 20, or not even like 22 to 25, and we're like, Mom, I'm sorry.
She's telling the truth. I couldn't do it, but because my mom is not here.
Right.
Right, right.
Right.
My mom,
Right.
she
And
she
so,
left us at 22, but yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
you like, dang it, like, man, like, I wish I didn't do that to you. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I wish I would have asked you more. I wish I would have,
Be
came
there.
out and just told you, But I think that because, of, your parents, your mom, you're like, she's gonna just try to tell me what to do. She's gonna try to rule my life, and I want her to that. Now I'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, Mom, I can't figure out how to get this thing to shine. I can't. Can you show me how to get this to shine? And then, I'm not afraid anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like that is something that I cherish the most right now. To
Mm-hmm.
still have
Good
my
stuff.
mom and to be able to be like, Mommy, I need help, please.
Oh,
When you're a kid, when you're in that time and you think you know it all, you grown, you so
right.
grown. I know everything. I don't
I
need
don't
that.
need her. I don't
Then,
need her. I know how to do it. I got it. I got this. Yeah, I was that
yeah.
one. I got this. I don't need my mom now. Every day I'm talking to her. I stand in
Like,
front of her
Mom.
picture and be like, Mom, really sorry.
Yeah, I do want
All
to
the
say
things
that
I
I
did.
do. I feel so blessed because a lot of young women do not have relationships with their moms.
True,
A
true,
lot of them don't talk to their moms.
true.
There's no camaraderie. They
Mhm,
kind of still hate their mothers, and they're my age. They're
mhm,
grown and they still have their mother's still here, but they don't have a relationship with her. And I'm just so
mhm,
grateful to God that
mhm.
me and all of my siblings have a relationship with our mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just
Yes,
such a blessing. I just feel like, having being able to mend your relationship with your mother,
mhm,
like, that is a healing process, and that, that's something healing within yourself.
absolutely.
Everybody's gonna go, everybody's gonna pass away. I know my mom is not gonna be, my mom to me is immortal because I have her voice everywhere, so it doesn't matter. I'll be listening to her, hearing her, everything. But when our parents go, it's like, when my mom goes, I feel like I'm gonna be able to know for sure. I just said this to my uncle, that my mother is gonna be up there interceding.
Uh-oh, her phone died. I think her phone died.
I know that my
Oh,
mom is
okay.
gonna be, you
Yes, she
know,
is.
present for me. I know that I don't have anything, like, I'll be like, Mom, I know you see what's going on down here. Like, come on now.
Right,
So I
right.
just feel like I'm blessed in that area to be able
Hmm.
to have that with my mother.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh
So
man,
you
I
heard me
can't
say
think of
this a
what
thousand
happened.
times. Is somebody
Hold on,
calling
Mom.
you?
I don't know
Okay.
what happened here.
I'm still here though. You're
There
still
we
here. I can still
go.
see you. Yep,
Okay.
I can still see you. I can still hear you.
Yeah.
So you heard me say this 1,000 times. Trauma without healing brings you back into trauma. I
Oh
see
yeah.
this all the time. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's the root of a program that I have, of course, called Killing the Trauma Blues.
Okay.
And I wrote a book called Killing the Trauma and
Mm-hmm.
Procrastination Blues, which will be coming out soon. And so, what traumas or patterns, I can't wait. What traumas or patterns do you think we carried as a family that shaped how we showed up in love, in business, and in life?
I believe being able to talk to each other, like
Mm-hmm.
not holding back communication. I feel like we are a very communication family. Like we
Mm-hmm.
talk to each other. Like you
Mm-hmm.
got a problem with your sister, like address it right now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Let's
Like
get it.
don't
That's
wait.
right.
You know what I mean? Like because we
Yes.
could be
Yes.
miscommunicating, and I feel like that translates into how we parent, into how we are in with our personal relationships, intimate relationships, how we are with like our friendships, you know, in
Right.
my
Yes.
friendship, like, you know, I'd be like, listen, I'm never gonna sneak you. I'm never gonna like have shade, throw shade. If I feel the
Mm-hmm.
type of way in that moment, I'm be like, girl, like, bruh, you need to go. Because I have sisters and
That's
I'm
right.
upfront and straight with my sisters. I
That's
have a
right.
mother. I'm upfront and straight with my mom. I don't feel like I have to throw shade. I don't feel like I have to be shady. I don't feel like I
Mm-hmm.
have to do that. I feel like I could come to a woman straight up and be like, what's
Right.
up, girl? What's you got a
Right.
problem? What's going on? Let's sit down and talk
Mhm.
about it. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
feel like that's
Right.
way better, you know, than dismissing or sweeping something under the rug, even with my brothers. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mm.
not afraid to go
Mm.
to them and be like, what's the problem?
Right. That part.
But I think that the more you do that, the more that you really do care. You know,
Right.
you care because we all have feelings. We all have, feel away sometimes in life. And
Right.
and
That's
and the
right.
best thing to do to not harbor and hold that stuff is to communicate, get it out, talk about it.
Right. Right.
Don't let it sit because then you hold a grudge. And then that grudge turns into anger and frustration. And then it turns into resentment. And then that stuff
Mm-hmm.
sits in your body and it's not
You become
healthy.
toxic. Yep. And you become
Yeah.
toxic, and love doesn't
Yeah.
exist. I'm noticing. I'm seeing that now with someone that I know. Um,
Mhm.
I want to call her my friend, but we're having some adversity. She's a sweetheart. She can be a sweetheart, but
Mhm.
she's allowing adversity with her children
Okay.
to make her toxic and angry all the time. And so I hope you're still there. Are you still there? Um, I think she went out. Maybe someone was calling her. But I'm gonna just keep talking. I believe that when we allow things to fester, and I've experienced that she fell out. When we allow things to fester in our life um, with others, and we hold on to it, and we don't address it immediately, we do something called throw up. My pastor said, "You just threw up all over the person," and I did. And this is my experience with a sister, with someone that I co-minister with, and so. Even in ministry, even as as I'm not going to say Christians, but even as disciples of God, disciples of Christ, we have to love each other. We have to love each other. So sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. I don't see her though. So um, we have to address those things right away, as she says. Address them, talk to the person, let them know what's going on, and it is okay for us to say that we're not okay with how people treat us. And this is something that I've taught my children. I've taught them over the years since they were little babies, since they were, able to walk and able to speak. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what's going on. Share. I didn't have that opportunity to do that. I didn't have the opportunity I didn't have a voice. I call it having a voice. And I didn't have a voice. My voice was taken from me at 9 years old. And I didn't have no voice all the way up until I got into my adult life, because I didn't felt that I could not tell what was going on until finally, what I did was I threw up all over everybody. I was mean. I was I said hateful things. I was very blunt. Like, okay, you got to get out, stuff like that. And my friends, they, those that were called my friends, those that were around me, they understood, because why? They went through the same thing. We grew up in the projects. It's hard. It was hard growing up in a place where, we have these small apartments, and we have to depend on each other. I have to depend on my neighbor for when my children come home from school. And they somebody, got to be there for them. We had those adversities, but we came together in love. My mother showed me that when we lived on our side of the projects, and where we lived at was predominantly white, where we grew up at in the projects. And so they stayed together. They stayed together, and that was something that my mother taught me, so that when I got to my side of the projects, and my community, those that were my friends, because a lot of them were my friends, and we grew up together, and we got our own apartments, at the same time. God blessed us to all be in the same area, and we raised our kids together, and we raised our kids to love and to be friendly, and to be community oriented. So that's what she was, talking about with her sisters and her brothers, is that they were community oriented. How do you begin your own healing journey, and what was your breaking point? What was her breaking point? So for me, I'm going to speak for me. My breaking point in my healing was when I 4 minutes when I became an adult. The Bible says when I was a child, I did childish things, but when I grew up and I became an adult, I left childish things behind. And so I started to see some things in myself that I didn't like, and I wanted to change. And the reason why is because I had the 5 daughters and the 2 sons, and then God giving me bonus children, and I loved my bonus children. Now, they're watching me, they're looking at me, they're seeing me, growing up with them, and that, how do they raise their children? And all honesty, that's something that they tried to pattern the same thing. So with that being said, I appreciate, I wanted to, do a rapid fire round fire with her, but because she's not here, maybe she'll come back. She'll come back another time, and we'll do it again. Charlie, I want to thank you. If you can hear me, if you're watching, thank you for sharing your voice. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability. Thank you for your wildness and your wisdom. And you remind me every day that healing doesn't always come gentle. Sometimes it comes loud, fierce, and unstoppable. And I love her for that. To my listeners, if you've ever felt like the wild one in your family, or maybe you were raising one, know this: your wildness is sacred. It's often the sign of a truth teller, a cycle breaker, a light bearer. And as Christ believers, as disciples, as those that are wanting to run for Christ, our way of dealing with things are not harsh, and we don't do it in anger, but we do it in love. So I want to let this conversation inspire you to have a real talk with someone in your family. Ask the hard questions. Tell the uncomfortable truths. Killing the Trauma Blues begins in spaces just like this. So to connect with me, and share your story, I want you to follow me. My email address is carlottaaneth@gmail.com. It's Carlotta, CarlottaAneth@gmail.com. Or if you want to schedule an appointment with me, my phone number is 570-281-8397, and you could give me a call and we can talk and schedule something. I do have a website, but it's still under construction. And so you can go there and send me a message. It'll go directly to my to my email. And that website is carlottaaneth.com. CarlottaAneth.com. ANETH.com. And you have been listening to Diamonds in the Rough show. I am, of course, Carlotta Anith, and we are on the PA Empowerment Network with our CEO and founder, Kendall Stevenson. Listen, this is a reminder, no matter how wild your path was or is, you were born to blaze it. And you're still what I call a diamond in the rough. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again. With movement comes change, and with change comes movement. And remember that God, he says he heals the broken in heart, and he binds their wounds. That's Psalms 147, verse 3. Have a blessed and wonderful. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it, and God loves you too. Bye, everyone.